So we've been cursed with a lot of bad live action animes, and I'm not even going to mention them. What we're going to talk about today is an actual good one that I do enjoy. I don't think it's peak, but I think it's pretty dang good. It was the One Piece live action anime on Netflix. I believe it's probably one of the most popular shows that Netflix has ever had at the moment. I think it even beat out Wednesday. It's a pretty big anime. Tons of good reviews. The audience score is really high on Rotten Tomatoes, but I want to give you my take on what I thought about the One Piece live action anime. Overall, as a whole, I really liked the One Piece live action anime. I did feel like at times it was kind of really cringy, and I couldn't get it as into it as I did on the anime. And just so you have, full idea of how I experienced the anime, I watched the anime in English dub. I know a lot of people watch it in sub, but I watch it in dub, so that's going to tie into my review a little bit more in the future. But first, I just want to go over basically all the characters and what I thought about them. I really love Luffy's casting. I think he looks perfect for the part. I do think that some parts, especially when he was being more serious, it felt very cringy to me, and I can't help it. I wanted to get super into it and really feel for Luffy, but the way he delivered some of the lines was just kind of cringy. I think a lot of people don't think it was cringy, which is, I wish I was one of those people. I couldn't help it, and it would kind of pull me out of the serious moments that he was having that I really wanted to enjoy and that I really did enjoy in the anime. For example, like when he puts the hat on Nami in the live action, he says, "Of course I will. Of course I will." And then, "Of course I will," which is like an iconic shot, him putting his hands up. But in the dub, what I liked a lot more was that he said he's gonna pay. He said he's gonna pay, and like I think that could have been a better line. Not like I know how he would have delivered it, but I would have liked that line more instead of him saying "Of course I will" 3 times. I did hear it in the sub. He says "Of course I will" only 1 time after he puts the hat on Nami. But that for me was such a pinnacle moment in my One Piece journey, especially when I first started the anime, was when he put the hat on Nami, because he's been saying this whole time how much the hat meant to him, and then he finally like puts it on Nami to let her know, "I love you, we're friends, and I have your back." And that was so meaningful. But in the actual live action, it kind of took me out of it, so that's kind of how I feel about Luffy. Like, there were times where I'm like smirking, and I really liked how he's taking care of Zoro's sword when Zorro was sick or hurt after Mihawk fight. But yeah, that's what I think about Luffy. I feel like it felt cringy, but I think that as time progresses, it'll definitely get better. And I have full faith in that actor. Nami, I really like Nami. I can't wait to see her more friendly with the crew, because obviously in this, she's more cold and shunnish of the crew due to her backstory. Her whole entire backstory is about her like not having friends because they're only going to get hurt if they're near her. And she shunned her whole village, shunned the Straw Hat crew. So I can't wait to see more of Nami as in a mix with the crew and not trying to shun them away. So I definitely was a big fan of Nami. I thought that the actress that played Nami did a great job. There were parts where I just wish that there was like a little bit more to it. Like I wanted to see like a glimmer of the fun side of Nami or the trusting side of Nami, but then she has to reel it in and pull it back. I never really felt like that, as if she couldn't help but love the Straw Hat crew. It seemed like she truly started loving the Straw Hat crew after they stuck up for her, which was a cold ass scene, by the way, towards the end. But yeah, Nami was cool. Nami was definitely cool. I enjoyed Nami. Now we look at Zorro. Zorro was definitely one of my favorites. I felt like the actor for Zorro in the live action killed that shit. He was cold. He got lost one time, which is like, peak Zorro. You could see the bond between him and Luffy grow. And that bond to me is just so badass. I love the bond between Zorro and Luffy. He's his right-hand man, and as it slowly grows, you see like Luffy trying to take care of Zorro and love Zorro while Zorro's down, and that's more of like a Luffy moment. But that moment ends up, Zorro wakes up and like, I can't remember exactly what he says to Luffy, but it was something that was like goofy. But then slowly it's like, "You are my captain. You are my captain." When in the beginning they said, "We're not a crew." So I really like Zorro. I liked how cold he was, but how like kind of dim-witted in a sense it was. like in his character portrayal. I thought that was really fun, and I definitely look forward to seeing Zorro on the screen. Usopp, I actually was surprised by Usopp. I thought Usopp did a pretty dang good job, but I felt like they needed to add more of the cowardice side or the manipulative side of Usopp. But I guess that's kind of like how we all knew Usopp. In the live action, I definitely respected him more, because in the anime, I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but when they first started introducing Usopp, I was like, get this motherfucker off the screen right now. I'm about to sock through my damn screen. I'm about to quit watching this anime because Usopp is a fucking punk. But in the live action, I ended up growing to his character, loving his character, and I thought that the actor portrayed Usopp well. I don't need the big nose. I personally don't give a shit about that. Like, we don't need big nose. And that kind of leads me to the next character. We don't need the eyebrows on Sanji. I really, really, really enjoy Sanji. I think that Sanji was probably my favorite character. I think the actor had the perfect amount of charm, and the charm did not feel awkward. I think there was only one time where it felt awkward and forced, and when he re-displayed the line that Luffy said, which was, all great superheroes announce their finishing move. I don't remember Sanji ever saying that in anime. It doesn't really feel like a Sanji thing to really say, which, side note, I really hope that bleeds to Zorro, because I want to hear him say like the Caliber Phoenix moves and all that crazy stuff. But anyways, back to Sanji. I thought Sanji killed it. I thought Sanji did good. That was the only part where I cringed, but every single other part, Sanji was so good. And Sanji's backstory is so damn amazing. I love the relationship between Sanji and the head chef. I forgot his name. I love the relationship between those two, because it just shows that two, like, a lot of people are like, oh, toxic masculinity, blah, blah, blah. But like, that's how a lot of like men are, and they can't show affection. And they were showing affection by like headbutting with each other. But as they're sailing away on the boat, they're crying because of how much they loved each other. And that shit is peak for me. I loved that so much. I loved it 10 times more in the anime, given, because from what I remember, they were talking shit to each other. The boat started separating, and then Sanji got on his knees and like bowed down. He's like, I'll never forget you. I'll never forget everything you did for me. And then the crew's like, we love you, we love you, we love you. And it just goes to show how much more meaningful that moment is, because that's how they felt the entire time, but they never said it. And then it's like the time where we have to say it. Right now is the time that we got to say it. They say it. And I don't know. Sanji added the perfect element to the crew, and Sanji and Zoro's relationship obviously is great. Calling each other, Moss Head, and getting all the names out, like it was so good. So as far as character breakdowns go, I definitely enjoyed the entire Straw Hat crew. I'm kind of borderline obsessed with like on YouTube seeing their interviews or their fun games or whatever they're doing with each other. I think they're a great young cast. They're gonna grow up to be a fantastic cast. And yes, so cast wise, I think they nailed it pretty dang well. Sanji was definitely my favorite, and yeah, I thought they killed it. I thought the villains were pretty cool. I really enjoyed Arlong. I thought Arlong was smashing. I thought Arlong, out of all the characters that could be taken least seriously, especially with the makeup and the nose, I took Arlong very seriously. I loved all the tones, and like, kind of ties in with like modern day shit, and like how it's all, like when you watch it, you're like, are they talking about like modern day stuff, or are they talking about fish people? So it was like, oh shit, like, you could feel the weight of the entire conversation in those moments with Arlong, and you could see his side. He definitely fucking hated the hell out of humans, and I loved his delivery and all of his lines. It never felt cheesy. That was one thing I was very grateful for. Although he did look like, when he's standing there, he looks kind of small and not as big as what I would expect from Arlong. But yeah, that was kind of funny. I did not like the Black Cat Pirates. In fact, I just wanted to like skip that whole part. I felt like I was forcing myself to watch it. So like Usopp's arc itself was kind of a little bit of a miss for me. I really liked the princess. But when the Black Cat Pirates came in, especially with like the swords on his hands, I just felt like it just felt so cheesy, man. I think in the anime I felt the same way, but actually seeing it live action, it's like you could tell that they didn't do any animation to retract or bring out the swords on his hands, and I just wasn't. I really wasn't a super fan of that. But obviously seeing the Going Merry in that arc was really fun, and that was great. So I'm kind of weaving back and forth within arcs and like villains of the arcs, you know? So yeah, Buggy the Clown was sick as hell. I think a lot of people really liked Buggy the Clown. I like how, especially in the anime, they made him seem like a big bad, and then later on he he accidentally, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's moments that happen, and he definitely doesn't belong in his position of power, but it just somehow happens. I can't wait to see that be portrayed for Buggy the Clown in the live action, and you start to see how Buggy the Clown is taken less seriously towards the end of the anime versus the beginning. So I was a fan of that. I think that's all the bad guys, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, we got Garp. Garp was there the entire time, which is kind of crazy. We got to see a lot of Garp, and we see a lot of Kobe, which I can't exactly remember how much we saw about Kobe in the anime. All I know is that there's a long time you don't see Kobe. So I'm pretty sure they really tied a story in with Kobe and Garp and their arcs, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it possibly in the future. I think that season 2 is going to be probably not involve them because we got enough out of them. But season 1, we got to see a lot of Garp and Kobe and a little bit of their growth. And we got the reveal that Garp is Luffy's grandfather way sooner than we did in the anime. So there's definitely like a lot of pacing changes made in the show. And I think that's the perfect segue at this point because we kind of talked about all of the bad guys that really matter on my radar. I think it's a perfect segue into talking about a lot of the changes inside of the show. So, for example, we had Arlong show up at the restaurant instead of Don Krieg, which I actually enjoyed the Don Krieg fight in the anime. But it totally makes sense to not have Don Krieg show up at the restaurant because it just makes pacing a lot better. Like, have we ever even seen Don Krieg pop up in the future of the anime? Not really. Not that I could recount. But we have had Arlong pop up in the future. I'm not going to really spoil that. But you could see why they would incorporate Arlong more than other people, than Don Krieg. So I enjoyed the story changes that they made to keep pacing better. I hope the pacing still keeps hitting as we go on to season 2, season 3. And I think the show is only going to get better as we go into season 2, season 3. Because that brings me to my next point. They had an insanely big budget, but I think they put it towards set pieces, more so the CGI, because I feel like the CGI wasn't exactly hitting as well. There were some moments where it was very questionable, you know, especially some like of Zorro's slashes felt kind of weird. I think they need to bring in John Wick. They need to bring in some John Wick choreography. If they could incorporate some kind of John Wick-esque choreography and camera angles or one takes, yeah, that would be hitting. But I understand how John Wick is definitely a much more mature and serious taking thing. I mean, where there was blood and people getting severed in half by Zorro in the live action, I just don't see it being the same cinematography ways. But regardless, if they added better like fight scenes and better CGI in the actual fighting, especially for like Luffy, I'd take it a lot more seriously. But we'll see what they do. We got Gear 2. I doubt the Gear 2 will make it into season 2. I think we got like season 2 might be, I don't know, maybe Skypiea. They talked about Skypiea. By the way, they talked about the story of Skypiea, which is super awesome. The island that sank. But we all know, those who like watch the anime know that it didn't sink. So that's going to be really exciting. But yeah, as far as season 2 goes, I don't know what they're going to add. I can't really speculate right now because it's a review for season 1. But we're definitely going to see a live action Chopper. That might be weird. Anyways, I really liked that they showed Zorro taking out Mr. 7, where that was only spoken about in the anime. It was actually shown as like a character introduction for Zorro in the live action. That was pretty sick. So we get like a taste of the whole universe, not the whole universe, but parts of the universe that we didn't really get to see at all in the first arcs of the anime. We get to see that in the live action. So there's a bunch of teases here and there that we're going to see later on, especially like Luffy always being laughed at for saying he's going to be the king of the pirates, to slowly everybody taking him really freaking seriously that he's going to become king of the pirates. So that's pretty sick. So, you know, there's a few more things to touch on, like Smoker reveal at the very end. That was pretty sweet. I wish we would have got a face reveal. We also have like that crocodile drama where they're showing that girl in the beginning of the show, and they're saying that that's going to be Crocodile, and that the actor for Luffy almost spoiled it, that Crocodile is going to be a girl instead. But I really don't think that's going to be Crocodile. I think that they're probably going to keep the same gender for Crocodile. But I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see what they do. I'm honestly down for whatever changes they make. Let's see what happens. And Yeah, overall I think the show was pretty good, still cheesy. I would rate it a 7.6 out of 10. I don't think it was a masterpiece by any means, but I think it's a step in the right direction for live actions. So I want to know what you think about it. Did you really enjoy it? What would you rate it on a scale from 1 to 10? And who's your favorite Straw Hat characters? Because now you know mine. I really love Sanji. I'm going to give it a 7.6 out of 10. And I thought it was cringy, but the story definitely was getting good. The last 4 episodes for me were a lot better than the first 4 episodes. So yeah, I guess we'll see in the future. Hopefully we get some more hockey stuff. Like we saw Shanks use his hockey against the Ocean Beast or whatever the fuck they're called, and that was super sick. So I can't wait to see more. Please let me know what you think. And yeah, that's my review for the One Piece live action. I guess I'll talk to you soon. Peace.